Hi weaving friends. I'm nearing the end of this project after quite a lengthy time, and I'm very happy to be getting to very close to the end of it. I'm just actually on to weaving the very last border, which is it's under 2 inches, so I'm really close, although I am going to do some decorative stitching on this end to match the other end. But at the start of the project, I was having a problem really consistently, and that was a floating selvage breaking over and over, but only on one side. So I am using a merino tencel for the warp, which is really beautiful to work with, such a lovely, luxurious yarn, and makes beautiful scarves and things like that. I wasn't entirely sure how strong it was going to be, but it did pass the snap test. So I've got a little piece here. It's quite strong. It's not breaking. So I wasn't worried about it breaking, and I haven't had any broken warp ends. It's just been that floating selvage, and it's just been on the right hand side. So first of all, reasons why this might happen. Well, I'm right-handed, and so when I place my weft through, it makes sense that, I might have a little more dominance, a little more strength on the right. And so perhaps, even though I make my best effort to, be as gentle and accurate with the weft as I can be, perhaps I'm just allowing it to draw in a little more on that side. And so then the more it draws in, the more the reed will kind of wear on it and give friction as it goes. I have noticed with using tencel before, just pure tencel, when it gets a bit of friction on it, it can get quite fluffy and shed a little bit. So tencel on its own has that tendency, and so merino tencel, maybe a little bit the same to a lesser degree because of the wool component. Interesting though that I never had a floating selvage break on the left-hand side, only the right. Anyway, after 3 times of breaking and replacing it, I thought, okay, I've had enough of this. What am I going to do? And so all I did was I just doubled up the floating selvage on that side. And that worked absolutely beautifully. I haven't had it break again for the entire project because the breaking was occurring right near the start of the project. So I thought that might be a useful tip for you, number one, but also I want to show you what to do when you get a broken floating selvage and you need to replace it partway through the project. Because if you know anything about floating selvages, and I do have other videos and resources that go over that and how to install them, what they are, all of that kind of thing. So I'll put links down below for extra info if you need that. But to give just a little basic overview, you tie the floating selvages on at the beginning of the project. And so you actually tie it onto the apron rod before you have even advanced the warp, before you even begin weaving, because you want it to be a part of the weaving. So when it breaks part of the way through, then you're like, well, you're left with an edge that's different. If you continue to weave without the floating selvage, it's going to be very noticeable on that edge because it's not going to look the same. The weft is not going to draw in the same way, which is one of the reasons that we use the floating selvage in the first place. And so it's really in your best interest to replace it. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that in a way that makes the transition between the broken one and the new one quite smooth so that you won't even notice it at the edge. Okay, so here is my actual existing floating selvage on this side. You can see that that one is doubled up, and on the opposite side it's just a single. Now you might think, well, if I have it doubled up on one side and single on the other, isn't that going to look weird? Well, no, actually it doesn't. It's not really noticeable. It's not to me anyway. It hasn't been an issue. The merino tencel that I'm using is a 10-2 weight, so it's quite a fine yarn. So doubling it up is no issue at all. If you had a yarn that was much thicker than that, then yes, it would likely be more noticeable at the edge. But with a thicker yarn, you're less likely to have a problem of a floating selvage breaking. Anyhow, I'm not going to actually remove the floating selvage that I have there already in order to show you how to install a new one. We're just going to have to use our imaginations here and imagine that this floating selvage right here has at some point broken off. So it'll look basically like that, but you'll see a bit of thread hanging off wherever it's broken. So what we want to do is, it depends on how near you are to finishing your project, how far through it you are. So if you're right at the start of your project, then you're going to want to measure out some of your warp yarn to about the same length as your total warp. If you're right near the end, you can see how very close to the end I am. You would only need a small amount, and you want it to be enough to pop over that back beam there to be able to do that. Okay, so let's measure off that amount first. So for actually doubling up your floating selvage, there are two ways that you can go about it when you are reattaching it, when you've already been weaving for a while. So I actually measured out a loop. So I got twice as much yarn as I actually wanted for the warp so that it could be doubled up easily with a loop. And I can just simply place that loop around the front beam. Depending on what sort of loom you have, this front beam is going to look different. So this is the low yarn flex table loom. The front beam is like a rounded dowel type situation. With another type of loom, it might be a little bit larger. Doesn't matter. Same principle applies. You can pop the loop around there and have the ends meet up again. Try not to get tangled on everything. So that's basically how it looks at the start, and then you can take it through and set it up as a floating selvage, which I'm also going to show you how to do, but I wanted to mention this other method first. So some people might say, oh well, if it's a loop and it's kind of apart like that, isn't that going to be a problem incorporating it back into the edge of the warp? I haven't personally found it to be. If your front beam is much bigger than this one, much wider, that's going to make a wider gap. But I've also used this method, say on my Louet David floor loom, which has a much larger front beam than this one does. And it's still worked out fine. Like as soon as you start weaving that at the edges, the weft starts going around it, it just brings it together straight away. But if you don't like the loop idea, you can take the two cut ends like this, put the cut ends together, and then simply tie them on with just an overhand knot. Double it up so it's not going to break. So it's on there now, okay? And then you can go ahead and set that up as the floating selvage. I really like the loop method. There's no knot here, so I don't have to worry about how's a knot going to look as it's incorporating into my weaving. Okay, so I've reverted to my loop method because that's my favorite. And so the next job to actually set it up is to just go through the next available slot. So because remember before we were imagining that this floating selvage that I have been using isn't there, let's just pretend that's part of the warp, because otherwise it's going to be a bit difficult. We don't want to double up anything in that slot. So I'm looking at the next available slot, which is this one, and that's the one I'm going to thread into. Okay, so it's gone through the reed. It's not going through any of the heddles. It doesn't get a heddle. That's not what its job is. And then we just let it come over the back beam. And what I do is I make a slip knot and then I attach a weight. The weight that I use the most is an S hook. These are available from hardware stores. I'll also leave you like an Amazon link down below. These are so mega handy. I have them dotted all over the studio because I use them for weighting things all the time. And then once you've got that slip knot on there, you just let that dangle and it stays there, and it provides a really, really nice amount of weight. So now when I begin weaving again, open up my shed and I just start using that floating selvage as though it never did break, just in the exact same way. And then as soon as that shuttle goes around the weaving selvage, the floating selvage, you can see it gets drawn in. So this is my new floating selvage right here. I've got the old one there, which is a bit of a nuisance because it'd be better if it wasn't there for me to show you this. But I wanted to show particularly how it gets drawn into the warp straight away. And then it's no issue at all. It's as though it never did break, and you have a beautiful edge again. I hope this was a helpful little tip for you. Don't forget to check out the extra resources that I've got for you down below, and until next time, happy weaving!